Some disclaimers before we begin. 1. There may be some background noise, and 2. This is being recorded live, so expect some mistakes whilst reading. Chapter 9. The Dark Side. Frank. My brother and I have always had a kind of don't ask, don't tell policy with our father about investigation, or at least we did until the deal went into effect. We never told him about cases we were investigating, nor did we ask for his help or advice based on his years of experience as one of the area's top detectives. In return, he never grilled us about how exactly we were spending all our free time, whether we were breaking any laws or doing whatever it was we were doing. As Joe and I returned from our cab ride to nowhere, however, we were both feeling like it might be time to get some advice from Dad. He was nothing if not plugged into the town of Bayport. If this triangle with legs really was as sinister as the professor had implied to us, surely Fenton Hardy had run across it at some point during his career. When we got home, my mom was in the kitchen farting us some photos of a house she was getting ready to show. No, she was saying certain things in the photo with a black Sharpie. Not enough lighting, too much clutter. People, get your shoes into a closet. Got a tough one on your hands, Mom? Joe asked gently. We Hardys all seem to be serious about something. Dad is serious about the law, Aunt Trudy is serious about food, Joe and I are serious about justice, and Mom is serious about real estate. Mom looked up with a smile. Boys, she said, how have you been? Is your friend feeling better today? We told our parents that we left in the middle of the night to check on a classmate who'd been in a car accident and was rushed to the hospital. Broken leg, concussion, nothing serious. Yeah, great, Joe said, already hobbling around on crutches. Hey, Mom, is Dad around? Mom gestured to his study. In his study with the door closed, she replied. He's been in there all day. He says he's wrestling with a chapter on the Articles of Confederation. It's fighting back, I'm afraid. Great, so Dad would be in a terrific mood. Thanks, Mom. I gave her a quick kiss on the cheek, and Joe and I walked over to Dad's study and knocked on the door. Come in. Dad's tone was smack in the middle between leave me alone and oh, please come in here and distract me from this horrible mess. Hi, Dad, I said, pushing open the door and walking in with Joe behind me. Dad was sitting behind his desk, his shirt rumpled, his hair looking like he'd recently been trying to tear it out. He doesn't have much either, so that's just an indication of how tough this chapter must have been. Boys, he said, sighing and leaning back in his chair. Oh, why did I decide to make my career in writing? What demons were possessing me? Joe and I were silent. Actually, our dad had left his long career as a detective and taken up writing as part of the deal, so arguably the demons in question were Joe and me, which didn't exactly make us feel great. Dad, I said, deciding to get to the point, I think Joe and I need to ask you something. Dad looked at me, suddenly serious. I don't think we'd come in to ask him something in a long time. Probably not since the legal troubles we'd had leading up to the deal. He sat up straight in his chair, pushing his mouse and keyboard away. Sound serious? He said. What is it, boys? I looked at Joe and nodded. Slowly he pulled out the napkin he'd sketched a triangle with leg symbol on and unfolded it, then pushed it to my father's side of the desk. Dad looked down at it, recognition dawning on his face, and then, just as quickly, fear. Where did you boys get this? He demanded in a tight voice. I cleared my throat, suddenly nervous. We saw it painted on the wall at a friend's house. Dad took in a breath, and relief seemed to wash over his face. He grabbed a napkin, balled it up, and threw it in the wastebasket under his desk. This is not something to concern yourselves with. I looked at Joe. What? What if we think it's, causing problems for our friend? Joe asked. Who is this friend? Dad asked, turning his detective laser gaze on my brother. What has he or she gotten himself involved in? Does it matter? I asked, and then instantly regretted it when the laser gaze was pointed at me. I cleared my throat and then continued, more gently. Is this symbol, is it a punishment of some kind? Does it mean someone's marked you? Dad sat back in his chair and sighed. He ran his hands through his hair, making it stick up more. Every town has its dark side, he said, looking up at the ceiling and then back at us. Why are you asking? What's going on with you boys? You're not investigating again, are you? Of course not, Joe said quickly, reflexively. I shook my head. We understand the deal, I said, not meeting Dad's eye. It's just, Joe sat forward in his chair, beseeching Dad. This friend of ours, bad things are happening to him and he doesn't know why. Is it because of this mark? Dad leveled his gaze at Joe, his face neutral. It could be, he said quietly, then louder. Listen, boys, under the circumstances and with the troubles you're already facing, it is extremely important not to let it get around town that you're asking questions about this. this issue, okay? You mean the triangle with legs? Joe asked. The what? Our father stopped himself and laughed, seeming to get it. Then, just as quickly as it appeared, the smile was gone. I'm serious, boys. This is very, very serious business. Some things are best left alone, uninvestigated. Do you understand? And one of those things is the red arrow. Joe looked at me. The red arrow, he mused. So the triangle with legs had a name, and our father knew it, and didn't want to talk about it, which for Fenton Hardy was pretty unusual. But, Dad, if the red arrow exists, I said, and it's that terrible, so terrible that no one can even hear you talking about it, shouldn't someone do something about it? Dad looked at me. Hoo-hoo, boy. This look was even worse than the laser gaze. This was the son. I'm disappointed in you, but I'm going to let my eyes do the talking gaze. Well, son, he said calmly, you're assuming that someone hasn't already tried. I took that in. My mind was reeling with questions. Does that mean... is he saying... Before I could decide whether even one of them was safe to ask, we were interrupted by loud, tinny music. Hit me, baby, one more time. Joe sat up and reached into his pants pocket, yanking out his phone. I like the classics, he told me sheepishly as he clicked the talk button. Hello? Yeah, this is he. Yeah. No, that's... Oh, no. Oh, man. Okay. Yes. He clicked off the phone and looked up at Dad and me. He said awkwardly. Well, thanks, Dad, and point taken. Listen, I think I need to talk to Frank. Dad nodded and waved us out of his study. All right, I need to get back to this chapter. Remember what I said, boys. We assured him that we would and stepped out of the study. Joe closed the door behind us and turned to me with a frantic expression. That was Sherelle, he whispered urgently. Neil was hit by a car today. He's in the hospital.